Hello everyone, welcome to Do or Die English Grammar Lessons. Today we are going to deal with the if clauses. So, what do we need if clauses for? Let's look at the use. If clauses or conditionals are used to show consequences or results of a conditional event or situation with regard to its probability or likelihood. And how do we form them? Well, they always consist of two clauses. The if clause, which contains the situation or event, and the main clause, which refers to the consequence of this event or this situation. And if the first clause is the if clause, we separate both clauses with a comma, like I did in this sentence. And we do not do this, we do not use a comma, if the first sentence is the main clause. Well, I looked up a few rather famous examples from songs to show you the different kinds of if clauses which we are going to deal with in the following. If the rain comes, they run and hide their heads. That's by the Beatles. Then one by Simply Red. No, I'm not going to sing it. If you don't know me by now, you will never, never, never know me. Ooh-hoo-hoo. Then the second conditional. If I could turn back time, if I could find a way, I'd take back all the words that have hurt you and you'd stay. That's by the famous singer Cher. And then there's the third conditional. If it hadn't been for love, never would have seen the trouble that I'm in, by Adele. Okay, now let's have a look at these four different forms of conditional, starting with the zero conditional. The first conditional that we're looking at is not really a conditional, it's more a cause and effect, and that's why it's called the zero conditional. So let's have a look at its use. The zero conditional is used to say that a situation or event always has the same result. And therefore, we could even replace the if with when. So this is not really a condition, but still we call it zero conditional. And we form it by using the simple present tense in both clauses. So let's have a look, first of all, at the example by the Beatles. If the rain comes, they run and hide their heads. So you could also say when the rain comes, they run and hide their heads because they do it every time. If you heat water, it boils, or water boils if you heat it. So every time you do this, this is what will happen because it's science, basic science. And the other way around, it works as well. If you heat ice, it melts. That's not really the other way around, but okay, you see what I mean. If you mix yellow and green, you get blue. Also, this is always the case. And if you pour oil on water, it floats. Again, it's a scientific fact. So it's in the simple present tense in both clauses, and it's not so much a condition as an event of cause and effect. Let's have a look at the first proper conditional, which is why we call it the first conditional. So when do we use the first conditional? The first conditional is used when the speaker feels that there is a real possibility for the situation or event mentioned in the if clause to occur or happen. And we use the simple present tense in the if clause and the will future, which is will plus the infinitive, in the main clause. So let's look at a few examples, starting with the famous one by Simply Red. If you don't know me by now, you will never, never, never know me. It's so hard not to sing this. If the weather is good, we will have a barbecue. If you ask nicely, I will get you some chocolate. If I find your keys, I will let you know. If you leave right now, you will make it on time. So in every case, the if clause shows that the speaker believes that this condition can really happen, and therefore the result of this can also happen. So there's a very, very high probability in these sentences which the speaker expresses. So when do we use the second conditional? Well, the second conditional is used to show that the speaker does not believe the situation or event mentioned in the if clause will really occur or happen. And this is formed by using the simple past tense in the if clause and would plus the infinitive in the main clause. But please note, would is not normally used in the main clause, except in very polite requests. And since this is a very typical mistake by German speakers of English, there's also a nice German idiom to remember that you should not use would in an if clause, which is this: if plus would gleich Satz kaputt. Now let's look at a few examples. First of all, the very famous one by Cher. If I could turn back time, which nobody can, and neither can the singer, if I could find a way, but I or the singer cannot, I would take back all the words that have hurt you and you would stay. So both if clauses, there are two, have the simple past, could, and both main clauses have I would plus the infinitive, take and stay. And they express the singer's wish that she could change something, but at the same time her knowledge that she cannot, that it is impossible to change this. If I was, or I can also say if I were, in an if clause, I can say if I were the Queen of England, let's say, which I am obviously not, I would give a speech every day. If it stopped raining, but I do not believe this, we could go out. And last but not least, my absolutely favorite second conditional sentence ever. Let me just explain two things. The first thing is, a woodchuck is an animal which lives in the woods. In German, this would be a Waldmurmeltier. And to chuck means werfen. Okay. Knowing both these things, you should have no problem to understand the following sentence. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Okay, I'll go more slowly. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? So this is another example of a good second conditional. So how much would a woodchuck chuck? So this is the main clause, so no if, so I have to use would. If a woodchuck could chuck wood, so could would be the simple past of can. So it's a perfectly okay second conditional sentence here. All right, it's your turn now. Complete the following sentences by putting the verbs in brackets into their correct form, obviously depending on the conditional type that we need here. So we need to understand the sentences to be able to fill in the right form. Number 1, English then to be easier to learn if it not have so many tenses. So what would this mean in German? Englisch wäre einfacher zu lernen, wenn es nicht so viele Zeiten hätte. So, since English does have so many tenses, it shows that this is an unlikely situation or something that the speaker knows is not true. So we need the second conditional. English would be easier to learn if it didn't have so many tenses. Number 2, if I go to their party, here's some extra information which I am planning to do. I wear my new dress. Now, thanks to the extra information, I know that this is a situation the speaker believes is going to happen. So we need the first conditional. If I go to their party, I will wear my new dress. So that's the first conditional. Number 3, if I, now it's not go to their party, which I will though, I already know I'm going, they, and then to be angry. So since I know I go, this is an unlikely event, it's just an imaginary situation, so I need the second conditional here. If I didn't go to their party, they would be angry. And number 4, if you not put petrol in the car, it not start. Now, this could be either a zero conditional because it's pretty much a scientific fact that a car, well, unless it's obviously an electronic car, and it cannot run without petrol. So it could be a zero conditional, or it could just be a first conditional because the speaker knows if this happens, then something else will happen. So either if you don't put petrol in the car, it doesn't start, or it won't start. Both would be okay. And number 5, I, and then not come with you, if you, and then not stop. Nagging. Nagging means getting on someone's nerves. Nerven, maybe, in German. I won't come with you if you don't stop nagging. So that's the first conditional. So I'm pretty much telling my friend or whatever to stop nagging because otherwise I won't come with him or her. All right, 3 down, 1 to go. One more conditional, which is the third conditional. So the use of it is rather difficult to understand, but let's try. The third conditional is used to talk about the hypothetical outcome of an event that did not happen in the past. Well, that sounds something like something out of a science fiction movie or whatever, but let's try to understand it. So it talks about the outcome that we think would have happened if an event had happened in the past. It will become clear, I promise, when we look at the examples. But let's first have a look at how to form this third conditional. So we form the third conditional by using the past perfect tense, which means had plus the past participle in the if clause. And then we have 2 options, depending on whether we talk about the past or the present. So either we use would have plus the past participle in the main clause if we talk about an outcome in the past, or we use would plus the infinitive if we talk about an outcome in the present, because something that did not happen in the past could either have had an effect on the past or on the present. Okay, let's look at the examples, starting by the famous one by the singer Adele. If it hadn't been for love, but it was, never would I have seen the trouble that I'm in. Okay. If I had known you were ill, but I didn't, I would have phoned you. So here we see there was something that happened in the past, which is that a person was ill, but the speaker didn't know about it, so he couldn't do what he or she says he or she would have done if he had known. I would have passed the exam if I had studied more, but I didn't. So again, we talk about something in the past, something that I cannot change anymore, but that would have changed something else. So if I had studied, then I would have passed my exam. So the studying would have affected the outcome of the exam. If I had gone to the party last night, which I didn't, I would have met many people. So I'm talking about last night. If I had gone, I would have met. But now the difference will become clear between talking about the past and talking about the present. So have a look. If I had gone to the party last night, which again I didn't, I would be tired now. So now the second part, or the main clause really, refers to the present, to now. And this is why now I need to use would plus the infinitive and not would have been. If I had paid more attention in school, I would not do this exercise now, maybe. Okay, that's another example of something that has not happened in the past, or that rather, sorry, did not happen in the past, having an effect on the present, on now. So I would not do this exercise right now if I had paid more attention in school back in the day. Right, it's your turn now to see if you can manage all these different kinds of if clauses. So have a look at the sentences and try to put the verbs into the correct form depending on which if clause we need. Okay, number 1. Our holiday was okay. So obviously I'm talking about the past. It then to be nicer if the weather again be better. So since I'm talking about the past and about something that didn't happen, I need the third conditional. So the sentence would look like this. It would have been nicer if the weather had been better. Number 2. I don't have his number. If I then have it, I and then call him. So since I don't have it, this is something I cannot do. So I'm saying that this is not something that is going to happen, which is why I need the second conditional here. I don't have his number. If I had it, I would call him. Number 3. What then you do if you and then win the lottery? Well, how likely is it to win the lottery again? Oh, I'm not good with numbers, but it's very, very, very extremely unlikely. So obviously this has to be the second conditional. What would you do if you won the lottery? Number 4. If these clouds, which I can actually see right now through my window, get any darker, I and then stay inside. So I can see clouds through my window, so it's likely that they might get darker. So it's a classic case of the conditional 1, or the first conditional. If these clouds get any darker, I will stay inside. Number 5. My car is really old, but I won't sell it because I love it so much or whatever. But if I then sell, I not get much money for it. Well, you already know I'm not going to sell it, so this is something that is not likely. So again, it's the second conditional. If I sold it, I wouldn't get much money for it. And last but not least, there's a good test for you and for me. If you and then do this exercise again, it get boring, I'm afraid. Now, this very much depends on how likely it is for you to do this exercise again. So in a way, we have an option here. We can choose between two conditionals, either conditional 1 or conditional 2. So either if you do this exercise again, it will get boring, or if you did this exercise again, it would get boring. Well, I hope you do not need to do this exercise again, and that it has become clear when to use which kind of if clause and how to actually form it. Well, thanks for watching. Great work and well done. Bye bye.